This is WEFT Champaign, 90.1 FM, community radio for East Central Illinois. Streaming live at www.weft.org. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Weekend Heartbeat, a series of shows that represent a collective effort to bring the thoughts and actions of people working in the nonprofit arena to the forefront, where it needs to be. Join us each Saturday at this time to enjoy a different episode in this series. On the first Saturday of each month, you can hear Peace Talks Radio with Joy George. On the second Saturday, A New Lamp with Marilyn Rickey and Sean David. On the third Saturday, WFT Vision 2020 with Sandra Otten. And on the fourth Saturday, you can hear Radio Eco Shock with Doug Olive. The views and opinions expressed here are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of WFT, its board of directors, associates, its station manager, or Prairie Air Incorporated. The following program is pre-recorded and consists of two parts. The first part was originally aired in 2011. The second part was recorded on May 8th, 2016. Welcome to Weekend Heartbeat. I'm Sean David, and this is A New Lamp.
New lamp for old. New lamp for old. Remember how Aladdin headed out to get oil for his mother's old dented, tarnished lamp? And in the market he met a magician calling out these words. This strange man was offering to give him a brand new shiny lamp for his old one. That's what I want to offer you, if you'll have it. A new lamp of spiritual guidance. But maybe you already have such a lamp, which still burns brightly. Great. You are still welcome to join us simply to learn who we are. But maybe your lamp of divine guidance has gotten dented and tarnished like Aladdin's. Or perhaps you have no such lamp at all. To you, I offer a new lamp. Hi, my name is Marilyn. Welcome to A New Lamp, a program designed to make you acquainted with the Baha'i religious faith. I hope you will choose to spend the next few minutes with me. Thanks.
Oh
Have you heard of Baha'u'llah? If you've been listening to a new lamp over the past months, you have indeed heard of Baha'u'llah. Today is the 20th and final program. It has been such a joy to me to present to you this new lamp, the Baha'i religious faith. Let's do a brief review of what we have learned. It all started in Persia in 1844 when Sayyid Ali Muhammad, or the Bab, proclaimed that he was God's messenger. He was the gate between the old decaying age and the new. Most of all, he proclaimed to be the forerunner of him whom God will make manifest, a greater messenger or manifestation of God, the promised one of all the ages. Many of his followers were slain, and he was executed by a firing squad. This did not stop the progress of his cause. Baha'u'llah in 1863 proclaimed that he was the one to whom the Bab referred. He was exiled from Persia and finally to the barracks prison in Akka in the Holy Land. His followers came to be known as Baha'is, followers of the glory of God. They have continued to be persecuted in Iran, the cradle of the faith. Some of the core principles of the faith are progressive revelation, equality of all humankind of whatever race or sex, the belief in one God and the unity of all religions, elimination of prejudices, universal education for both sexes, individual search for truth, harmony of science and religion, universal supplemental language, establishment of world peace upheld by a world commonwealth of nations. If during these weeks your curiosity has been piqued, you can find ever so much information online. Books are available locally. If you find these messages to contain something you might want to consider seriously as the answer for your spiritual well-being, and after studying the sacred writings you want to become a Baha'i, Baha'u'llah has made it easy for us. There are no rituals to be done, only a declaration card to be signed, which essentially says you believe Baha'u'llah to be the promised one of all the ages and religions and want to be his follower. This is sent to the National Baha'i Center in Evanston, Illinois, where you'll be registered. They will see that Baha'is in the area will be in touch with you. At this point, you have voting rights and are ready to know the incredible joy of being a Baha'i, a true follower of Baha'u'llah, the glory of God. God's blessings on you, each and every one of you. which is preeminent above all other gifts, is incorruptible in nature, and pertaineth to God himself, is the gift of divine revelation. Every bounty conferred by the Creator upon man, be it material or spiritual, is subservient unto this. It is the bread that cometh down from heaven. It is God's supreme testimony, the symbol of his most perfect grace. He hath partaken of this highest gift of God, who hath recognized his manifestation in this day. Render thanks unto the Lord for having vouchsafed unto thee so great a bounty. Baha'u'llah. Thanks so much for being with me this morning. I hope you have found a blessing during these few minutes. If you want to learn more about the Baha'i religion, you can go online to www.bahai.us. To contact me, my email address is anewlamp@yahoo.com. Thanks, and have a great day. Welcome to the May edition of A New Lamp. This program concludes the original 20-part presentation of A New Lamp. However, we will continue on the air, either repeating the program as presented over these past 20 months, or perhaps some new programs if and as we receive inspiration. Our guest today is Creighton Comer of the Champaign Baha'i community, and he is a member of the Champaign Local Spiritual Assembly of Baha'is. Welcome, Creighton.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Hey, Creighton.
Hi, Sean.
Okay, we are so glad to have you here with us today and to share our last program with us.
Congratulations on your 20th.
Before we move on to our topic for today, could you kind of fill in our listeners a little bit about who you are, like your childhood, your family, what things you're interested in, or whatever you think folks might be interested in knowing about you?
Well, I'm Creighton Comer. I've lived here majority of my life. I like Champaign-Urbana. I like the people, and I just like life.
Great. All right. That's a good note to start on. You like life.
Yes.
How long have you been a Baha'i?
About 30 years.
30 years, really?
Yep.
And how did you come by the faith? How did you find it?
I think it was back in 1976. I was introduced to the faith, and as I remember, it was the 4th of July, 1976, and a couple Baha'is told me about the Baha'i faith. Mm-hmm. Invited me over to the old Baha'i Center with Greta Busey, and that's how I got to know about the Baha'i faith.
Uh-huh.
And then I was a teenager then, and so about 8 years later, I got interested in the Baha'i faith, and somebody brought me to it.
All right. When you say you got interrupted, you mean you had quit coming, or?
I was under the tutelage of my mom, and so I couldn't really declare, so I had to take a break.
Okay. So there was a little bit of conflict here.
Yes.
But eventually you came back to us. Wonderful. That's great. So what is there about the Baha'i faith that you feel like it's the right thing for you?
it's easy to understand, and just the hope it brings to the world and to the community as a whole, in terms of, and being involved in the community, the Baha'i faith being involved in the community. That's important to me.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, speaking of community, you are a person with a handicap. How does the community in large stack up as far as provisions for the handicap or lack of?
It's very good. There's always needs to be improvement. This is the University of Illinois, which is the flagship of Champaign-Urbana and of the state. And so it was the first one to incorporate people with disabilities.
Really?
And I think it was back in the 1940s. Tim Nugent brought it in. It was after the war, and it brought. He thought that everybody should have the chance for an education. So he kind of brought it in, and it's always been a leader in terms of disabilities in the state.
So as it came into the university, then I gather that it broadened throughout the actual city.
Yeah. I've really seen a big push within the last 30 years of different things. Newer buildings. It's a law that newer buildings has to be accessible.
Yes.
And there's still some work that needs to be done, but for the most part, it's a great place to live. Because of the transportation around here and being close to everything, and and just having the people are nice, and the people are understanding about disabilities around here.
Oh, that's great. So are buses easy to get on and off?
Yes. The way it works is that I just wait at a bus stop, and the bus pulls up and unfolds the ramp, and I go on board and take my spot.
All right. Wheelchair and all, and
Yes.
then there you go.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Sean, you've lived here all your life, and of course you are not a handicapped person, but what have you observed as far as good or bad?
Well, the thing that's interesting for me is I didn't realize at all when I was little that they were doing this for people with disabilities. But I remember on my bicycle running around town, and that every time a curb would get repaired, they'd replace it with a curb cut, which I thought was awesome for the kids on bicycles. No concept.
Just for you.
Just for us. No concept that had anything to do with people in wheelchairs.
And people with baby carriages and everything else.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. And, so I've lived in other areas, and I've noticed that that's often more of a problem in a lot of other areas. So it is sort of interesting that we've been kind of weirdly in the forefront of that, which is weirdly, awesomely in the forefront of that, but unfortunately weirdly compared to other places. Oh, yeah. And I had a friend of mine here, Nabil Draves, who now lives in Decatur, where they're not as much in the forefront of these issues. And he complains about it bitterly ever since he left.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. They've gotten a little better, I think, over the last 10 years. They've gotten a little better down there, but he's been down there for more than a decade now, and he definitely misses the facilities that were available for folks using wheelchairs up here.
Really? That's great. Yeah, we like to make sure that people know that if they're coming to the Baha'i Center, that is wheelchair accessible, easy to get in and out, and
It is.
I know you have enjoyed being able to come to those things. We have a little more problem when we have our feasts at various homes. Unfortunately, if I'm having it at my house, Creighton can't come to it, so that's not good. So we're trying to find a way.
We're trying to find a way to get that accomplished.
Right. So what things do you think, if there's somebody who's listening who could make an impact, what ideas would you give them as far as how to improve? What things are left that need to be done?
just be aware of those people around you. Realize that when, like if you're on a bus and you're sitting on a bus and a person has to sit where you're sitting, be aware of it and be nice enough to give up your seat so somebody else can sit there that's not able to sit in a regular seat.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Awfully easy for somebody just to come on a bus and not even think about it, sit down at the most convenient spot. Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like we're doing pretty good in this area. That's wonderful. So we live in a time when our world seems in very many ways to be falling apart. Some folks just to prefer to kind of bury their heads in the sand, like has always been the case. And some are very anxious and fearful because things have just changed so rapidly. Some wonderful changes, some not so good changes. So there's a lot of anxiety nowadays and fearfulness. But I know that you recently gave a fireside at the Baha'i Center, Creighton, about hope. And I missed that, unfortunately. I think I was out of town. But I would very much like if, as we finish this series on the Baha'i faith, I think it might be a wonderful thing if you could tell us why you have hope in this day and age where things seem so kind of hopeless to a lot of people. Tell us about that.
Well, I just have hope. I mean, with all the things that are coming down the pike in terms of people with disabilities, people getting along with each other, connecting up with Skype and with all the technology, and this is a great time to be alive. There's a lot of I don't know if I can use the word naysayers about how things have changed, how the things that we knew yesterday might be a little changing today, and all people have to change, and we all have to make we all have to give a little bit of each other in order to make things happen. And
Yes.
if we do that, then we'll have hope. I never, personally for me, I always like to think of being just ready for anything, and acceptance for anything, because in order to stay young, as I know that you want to stay young and we all want to stay young, we have to accept certain things. It may not be the way we wanted it. It may not be the way we want, but we have to get along together as people. And that's one of the things that I like about the Baha'i faith, is that it teaches us to get along with each other and to be aware of each other.
Absolutely. And of course, as you said, that in spite of everything, there have been so many wonderful things happen in this past century, things that our grandparents or great-grandparents would never have dreamed could be. And one of the places where you and I meet every now and again is at our eye doctor's office, right?
Yes.
And we both know the wonderful things that he is able to do that probably 50 years ago we would not have been able to do. And it is fantastic, some of the things that if we are younger and have been living with these things, we're not aware that of all the wonderful things that have come to be. And at this point, I would have cataracts that were pretty bad, and I would be having trouble seeing. You perhaps wouldn't be able to see at all if we didn't have this doctor who has all this wonderful equipment and knows how to do these things. And I'm sure there are plenty of other things too. You've got an electric wheelchair. Those are things that are just wonderful. And, we think about it. Abdul-Baha said, if you cannot be happy in this day, what day can you be happy in?
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
And that's really important, Sean and Marilyn, to be happy where we're at.
Yeah.
Everybody has their little inconveniences. I have my inconveniences. You have your inconveniences. So we all have inconveniences at one time or another.
True.
It's just what we do with our inconvenience. It can be either a blessing or a curse.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful that you have gone through life with these handicaps, and yet you have that wonderful attitude, that spirit. And it's good to know that you have found this in the Baha'i faith.
Yes. And also, you just don't get a good attitude overnight. It's like something that, you know what you have to do, and you just go out and do it, and you try to do the best you can with what you got.
Very good, yes. We can, as the little saying goes, we can laugh or we can cry. You've got your choice.
Good pick. Now, Creighton, I was curious. You mentioned a little earlier on one of the reasons why you can have hope, and especially with light of the Baha'i teachings, is how the Baha'i faith teaches you to get along with other people. I was kind of hoping you might elaborate a little bit on exactly how it does that.
Baha'u'llah teaches us that we need to be patient and kind and be aware of others, and I've kind of taken that on. There's nothing like having a conversation with a person that sometimes people just need an ear to hear, or somebody to say hello to them, or to say hello to them. And Baha'u'llah was a guy like that. He just made me stop and think when I read the writings or when I listen to the prayers, I get a sense of hope and commitment, and that things are going to be okay.
Well, what about if the person who you're talking to is wrong or insufferable, or you think they're dumb, or that's one of the reasons why I think people don't get along, is because they really just can't stand each other. And what did Baha'u'llah say about that?
I think he would say, be kind, be patient, be tolerant, be aware, and just be aware and be able to listen and say a kind word, even if they don't want a kind word. Give them a kind word, because they might need a kind word, and that's what the writings are. It's sort of like poetry in a way, because I can. It comes off so easily, and being aware and having that kind of. He knew that the world was where it was, and he gave the Baha'i faith to us, which is really important in this day and age. This has been over, 1844. That's an awful long time ago. And it's still true today. It's still true today. And I think religion as a whole, if it brings you peace, if it brings you love, and it brings you joy, and it gives you something, religion should be something that you grow from.
Yes.
And then every time you look at the writings of whatever religion it is, it should spark something inside you. And that's what the Baha'i faith does for me, the Baha'i writings.
Yes. Yes, and I think it's what you have mentioned, that whatever your religion is, each religion has beautiful things to give to us, and many of the same things, actually, when we look into them. And, you know, I was thinking about Sean's question, too, and we are told that when we look in someone's face, we should look as though we're seeing the face of God. And that's not easy with some folks, you know, to see the face of God in the face of someone that we just instinctively don't like, or somehow or other just really turn us off. It's very hard to get past that point sometimes, and requires a lot of praying, I think.
Yeah.
But one thing that I always remember is that it says, I think it says in somewhere else, not in the Baha'i faith, but it says that God is in the likeness of all of us, you know.
Yes.
And that's really, you know, if I approach people like that, then I have a better chance of understanding them. Because understanding people, it is challenging today. You know, with all the things that are going on, and all the fear that's out there.
Yes.
There is a sense of where do I go? What do I do? What do I need in my life to make me whole? And you just have to understand that you can find it if you're willing to search for it. If it's not in the Baha'i faith, it's in other faiths, you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And, you know, you were saying about just being kind. There are people that we pass every day, and they may be just paying no attention to us, or nobody's paying attention to them. If we smile at them, just a smile, or say hello, that might be the only smile they got that day. So, as you say, people that we look at and we cannot see what they really are, the fact that there is a need, each of us, it doesn't matter whether we're a homeless person on the street, whether they're somebody who's famous and important. Every one of us have needs. We all have our own personal fears. We all want to be liked. And it may feel very insecure. Even the most secure appearing people have their points of vulnerability, and you just never know when that person that we think is too good for us to even speak to, perhaps they need us to speak to them. So whatever the person's position, and you mentioned about God being in each of our image. We're told that we are created in the image of God, and so our spirits are in His image, and I think that's important for us to remember that each one of us is created in God's image, whether we can see this or not.
And sometimes it's hard to see, you know.
Yes.
Because we're so wrapped up in the things of life. Our opinion matters, and really everybody's opinions matters to a point.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I would like to say that this program, it's a light in the universe. You know, if you're listening to this program, there's a reason that you're listening to this program, whether you're on the podcast or whether you're listening to it live or repeating this show. There's a reason. You know, nothing happens for no reason. You know, that's the great thing about the Baha'i faith, because the writings and everything that goes into it, it kind of connects everything. It kind of connects the universe together. At least that's the way I look at it. And I think that's why we all need something greater than ourselves to carry us through, you know. Because if I did it myself, I wouldn't get very far. It's sort of like somebody that you take your car to a mechanic because you need that mechanic to make your car go, and that mechanic kind of gives you peace of mind while you're behind the wheel.
See, that's true.
That's true.
Well, I really appreciate your comments about that. You know, we don't get feedback. We don't know who's hearing our program and, you know, if it has had an effect. And we certainly hope and pray that it is. And particularly as we're coming to a close, I really appreciate your having said that. We don't know what lives have been affected, and we just hope and pray that there have been positive results for people from having turned on our program, whether they came on it intentionally or accidentally. We're very grateful for anybody who has listened and taken us to heart. So it's been wonderful having you on our program today, Creighton. I think this has been a great way to end our series on a word of hope and a review of the Baha'i faith. Shall we take a look for a moment at what's going to be going on at the Baha'i Center in Urbana over this next month?
Okay.
Okay. Now, the Baha'i Center is at 807 East Green Street in Urbana and is wheelchair accessible. Anything that is announced on this program is open to the public. And Sunday mornings, every Sunday morning, there is a devotional time at 10:30. All are welcome. On the fourth Sunday of the month is a potluck and game day. And the devotions on that particular day are led by Sean.
Hi.
and he uses a lot of interfaith readings, which are just very nice to hear. So let's see here. Vocal workshop is temporarily on hold, I understand. So we won't be seeing that this week. Sean's mother, Joan, leads the prayer meetings on Tuesday evenings at 7 o'clock. On this month, there will be a celebration of the Declaration of the Bab that will be on May 22nd or 23rd. And if anybody is interested in hearing more about that, you may call the Baha'i Center.
The phone number for the Baha'i Center, if you wish to make a phone call there, is area code 217-337-1808.
On May 28th will be the observation of the Ascension or the death of Baha'u'llah, which takes place at 3 o'clock in the morning, and there will be a program for that. And June 4th, will there be a fireside, Sean?
Yeah, there should be. The Friday fireside, although where it will be has not been announced yet.
Okay.
You can find out information about most of these programs by going to our website at www.cu-bahai.org, and then in the left there's a button for calendar, and these events are located on that calendar. And as the Friday firesides come into fuller shape, more information will be posted there about them, and the other events too. The other holy days coming up too will also be posted there.
Thank you. Okay, Creighton, we usually like to finish our program with readings of the writings from the faith, and we usually like to have our guests join us with that. I know that because of your visual problems, you'll not be able to do that, but
I'll just sit back and listen.
All right. Well, once again, we have been so glad to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
This is the river of everlasting life that hath flowed from the wellspring of the pen of the merciful. Well is it with them that drink. This is the river of everlasting life that hath flowed from the wellspring of the pen of the merciful. Well is it with them that drink. O my servant, abandon not for that which perisheth, an everlasting dominion, and cast not away celestial sovereignty for a worldly desire. This is the river of everlasting life that hath flowed from the wellspring of the pen of the merciful. Well is it with them that drink. This is the river of everlasting life that hath flowed from the wellspring of the pen of the merciful. Well is it with them that drink. O my servant, abandon not for that which perisheth, an everlasting dominion, and cast not away celestial sovereignty for a worldly desire. This is the river of everlasting life that hath flowed from the wellspring of the pen of the merciful. Well is it with them that drink. This is the river of everlasting life that hath flowed from the wellspring of the pen of the merciful. Well is it with them that drink.
O peoples of the world, cast away in my name that transcendeth all other names the things ye possess, and immerse yourselves in this ocean, in whose depths lay hidden the pearls of wisdom and of utterance, an ocean that surgeth in my name, the All-Merciful. Baha'u'llah.
Attract the hearts of men through the call of Him, the one alone beloved. Say, this is the voice of God, if ye do but hearken. This is the dayspring of the revelation of God, did ye but know that. This is the dawning place of the cause of God, were you to recognize it. This is the source of the commandment of God, did ye but judge it fairly. Baha'u'llah.
God sent his prophets into the world to teach and enlighten man, to explain to him the mysteries of the power of the Holy Spirit, to enable them to reflect the light, and so, in his turn, to be the source of guidance to others. Abdul Baha.
I charge you all that each one of you concentrate all the thoughts of your heart on love and unity. When a thought of war comes, oppose it by a stronger thought of peace. A thought of hatred must be destroyed by a more powerful thought of love. To teach is to learn, to learn is to work is to serve is to love is to die is to live is to strive, and to strive is to rise above all earthly limitations and enter the eternal realm, the eternal realm. schedule that each one of you concentrate all the thoughts of your heart on love and unity. When a thought of war comes, oppose it by a stronger thought of peace. A thought of hatred must be destroyed by a more powerful thought of love. By a more powerful thought of love. By a more powerful thought of love.
This is the day whereon the ocean of God's mercy hath been manifested unto men, the day in which the clouds of his bountiful favor have overshadowed the whole of mankind. Now is the time to cheer and refresh the downcast through the invigorating breeze of love and fellowship and the living waters of friendliness and charity. Baha'u'llah.
Be fair to yourself and to others, that the evidences of justice may be revealed through your deeds among our faithful servants. Baha'u'llah.
On the horizon of starboard bow, feel the spirit rising, feel the mighty shout. Oh, watch the whole creation turning inside out, making his will made known. The time for peace is now. Leaders at the table talking about an end to war. We need more than chess moves. We gotta open up the door. And
arise, and proclaim unto the entire creation tidings that he who is the all-merciful hath directed his steps toward the Rizwan and entered it. Guide then the people unto the garden of delight, which God hath made the throne of his paradise. We have chosen thee to be our most mighty trumpet, whose blast is to signalize the resurrection of all mankind. Baha'u'llah. Music used in the A New Lamp portion of today's program were O Baha'u'llah and See the Light of His Glory, performed by the Voices of Baha. If you would like to learn more about the Baha'i community in the Champaign-Urbana area, or any of the activities we have mentioned today, you can visit our website at www.cu-bahai.org. If you would like to learn more about the Baha'i Faith, you may go to www.bahai.us. If you would like to contact the local Baha'i community in Champaign-Urbana, please visit our website at www.cu-bahai.org and click Contact. Thank you again for joining us today. I hope you'll join us again next month. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to this week's Weekend Heartbeat on WEFT Champaign 90.1 FM, Community Radio, Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, streaming live at www.weft.org.